Well, Batya, this is exactly what they are demanding, to really turn this day of national disruption into a paralysis for the next couple of days. And this is what they really need, the Histadrut, the Israeli General Workers Union, for, to call a general strike. But earlier, Batya, we're standing at the Arlozov Road, which has been closed off. We saw some scuffles between protesters and the police. As you can see, quite some police presence here. As of now, there are thousands of people gathering here in that square. One protester fell down after having been pushed by a police officer. A smoke torch was thrown, so quite some scuffles here. There is also an update concerning the woman who was hit by a car, a female protester in the central city of Ra'anana. She was taken to Beilinson Hospital with several systemic injuries. Batya, we're still waiting for further updates to come in. Now, here next to the Histadrut's office, the Israeli General Workers Union, I want to introduce to you one of the leaders of the student protest who has been protesting with the weekly protests since January, Batya. And I want to ask you, Bar Peluka, thank you very much for being with us today. Why are you standing here, especially in front of the Israeli General Workers Union headquarters? What are you expecting from them to do?
We're standing here in front of the workers of the Israeli Workers Union because they are one of the strongest bodies in Israel, and they exist because they took the responsibility to protect workers' unions and to protect workers' rights. What's happening now in Israel, the judicial overhaul, part of what's going to be hurt is workers' rights. We already know that they are talking about limiting the ability to strike and other laws they're trying to pass, and if this judicial overhaul passes, it will give the government the ability to limit workers' rights. We're seeing that the Israeli Workers Union is now standing on the fence. They're saying they're not political, but what in actually they're doing, they're standing side by side with the people who are trying to hurt the Israeli democracy. So we're standing, and we helped organize this protest today because we think it's the most important thing for them to do as the people who are responsible for workers' rights.
To call upon a general strike, this is what you're doing.
Call for a general strike, yeah, to stand up now and say that this country cannot go on as if everything is normal. They have to stop the markets, stop everything, and say that this will not go on normally until the government stops.
Now, I'm sure you know the discussions within Israeli society. People are saying that these protests are only aggravating citizens, that they are pushing them away from actively participating in the protests because this is severely harming civilian life, especially in a city like Tel Aviv that deals with protests on a regular level. What do you tell people saying that this is going too far, general strike, paralyzing the country, that this would actually hurt the country more than it would help?
The people who are going too far and are hurting the country are the people who are sitting in this coalition. They're trying to pass laws that are hurting the basic DNA of this state. And it's not that everything is perfect here and was before, but if this thing passes, there will be no chance for hope here because they will destroy every basic democratic right, and we know that they are saying that's what they're going to do. This makes us feel that we're in a position that we have no other option but not to be polite anymore. We tried protesting politely. We're standing for 6 months. I myself, there hasn't been one Saturday night. I'm 27. I'm used to go out with my friends to go on dates. For 6 months, there hasn't been one single Saturday night we haven't stood in the streets protesting peacefully and normally. Now it's time to act a little bit unreasonably because what they're doing is not reasonable. We'll be non-violent. We'll never break the laws in any way that will actually harm people.
Thank you very much, Bar Peluka, one of the leaders of the Israeli students' protest who has been protesting since January here. And while we're standing in front of the Israeli General Workers Union's headquarters, there are protests going on all throughout the city. For example, the high-tech protest in the Sarona quarter, a digital protest, the high-tech sector also announcing to severely disrupt apps and websites here in Israel, a protest march going from the central square for Bima to the Israeli Stock Exchange. Here, the protest in front of the Histadrut's headquarters, people demanding for a general strike to be announced here today to really turn this day of paralysis into several days of really paralysis for the entire country, Batya.